Have you ever wondered how a single road could change the entire world? Not just by moving goods, but by moving ideas, ambitions, and even entire destinies? We've journeyed thousands of miles and thousands of years along the Silk Road, witnessing empires rise and fall. Now, we arrive at the final explosive chapter. The moment the world we know today was born from the legacy of this ancient network. Stick around, because you're about to see how camel caravans and desert whispers led directly to printing presses, global exploration, and the dawn of the modern age. Our story reignites in a small workshop in Mainz, Germany, around the year 1440. A man named Johannes Gutenberg, his hands stained with ink, is meticulously arranging small metal letters. He pulls a lever, presses down on a sheet of parchment, and lifts it. What he holds is not just a page, it's a revolution. The printing press is born. But this European invention has a secret ingredient from the Far East: paper, a technology that had traveled for centuries along the Silk Road. Combined with European ambition, this fusion of ideas unleashes an explosion of knowledge. Suddenly, books are no longer the exclusive property of monasteries and kings. They pour into libraries and universities across the continent. Scholars who once had access to only a handful of manuscripts can now study hundreds. Ideas once whispered from person to person now race across Europe on printed pages. Philosophies are debated, scientific theories are shared, and perhaps most importantly, maps are redrawn. The world, as people understood it, begins to expand right before their eyes. This intellectual awakening, this renaissance, is fueled by the Silk Road's greatest exports: paper, ink, and an insatiable curiosity about what lies beyond the horizon. And that curiosity leads us to the Spanish court in 1492. A determined Genoese sailor, Christopher Columbus, stands before Queen Isabella. His mind is filled with tales of the East, stories popularized by Marco Polo's travels along the Silk Road. He speaks of unimaginable wealth, of spices, and of silk. Convinced there is a faster westward sea route to the riches of Cathay, he secures the funding for his daring voyage. He sets sail not knowing he would stumble upon a new world. But his entire mission is a direct consequence of the legends the Silk Road had burned into the European imagination. Columbus's journey cracks the world open. His voyage across the Atlantic is just the beginning. The age of exploration dawns with a thunderous roar. Portuguese traders, pioneers of maritime navigation, finally round Africa and reach the shores of India by sea, establishing direct trade routes that bypass the old land paths. Spanish galleons, laden with silver from the Americas, become floating fortresses that connect continents across the vast Pacific. A truly global trade network awakens, one built on the waves. The dream of connecting East and West, the very purpose of the Silk Road, is now being realized on an unprecedented oceanic scale. But as the seas open up, the land begins to close. The powerful Ottoman Empire, now controlling the heartland of the old Silk Road, raises tolls and eventually closes many of the traditional land routes to European merchants. The flow of silk, spices, and porcelain that once flooded Ottoman bazaars is choked off at its source. For centuries, this had been the world's most important highway. Now, it falls silent. But the spirit of the Silk Road doesn't die. It simply adapts. It shifts its course from the dusty trails of the desert to the endless blue of the open ocean. The desire for connection is too powerful to be stopped. That spirit of connection continues to evolve, finding new vessels for its journey. Fast forward to 1825 in America. Thousands of workers dig through rock and mud, carving the Erie Canal into the earth. This man-made river links the Atlantic Ocean to the Great Lakes, opening up the American heartland to trade in a way that mirrors what the Silk Road did for Eurasia. The camel and the caravan are replaced by the steam engine and the steel rail. The spirit of the Silk Road now flows through railways that stitch continents together, telegraph cables that transmit information at the speed of light, and steamships that shrink the oceans. The technology changes, but the fundamental human drive to connect, trade, and share remains the same. And what a beautiful exchange it becomes. In a Japanese print shop, we see this new global culture on display. Woodblock prints depicting Chinese dragons hang next to images of Persian gardens and Roman ruins. The world's artistic traditions are no longer isolated. They are in conversation with one another, creating a vibrant, beautiful hybrid culture. This cross-pollination of ideas is happening everywhere. In a quiet study, a Chinese scholar delves into the plays of Shakespeare. In a bustling cafe, a Persian poet quotes the wisdom of Confucius. And in a European observatory, a scientist builds upon centuries of Arabic astronomical knowledge to map the stars. The world as we know it has risen, built on the foundations of that ancient road. The Silk Road was never just about silk. It was a conduit for faith, for art, for science, for stories. It was a testament to the idea that when different cultures meet, they don't just trade goods, they create a new, shared future. From the first traveler who dared to cross a desert to the satellites that now circle our globe, the journey of the Silk Road is the story of humanity itself. It's a story of our relentless, beautiful, and unending quest to connect with one another. Thank you so much for joining us on this incredible journey through history. If you've enjoyed this series and want to see more deep dives into the stories that shaped our world, please make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next adventure. We'll see you next time.